Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you this. How much do you truly love yourself? I mean, really love yourself. You see, we live in a world where we're constantly giving our love to others, to our friends, our families, our partners, but let me tell you, if you don't start with yourself, you're missing the most important foundation in your life, because self-love is the power that fuels everything else. It's the energy that drives your confidence, your peace, your success. If you want to achieve greatness, if you want to step into your fullest potential, it all begins with you. Now think about it. How many times have you doubted your worth? How many times have you settled for less than you deserve, thinking you're not enough? It's time to change that. It's time to rise above the self-doubt, above the negative voices in your head, and step into the truth that you are deserving of every ounce of love, happiness, and success that life has to offer. Because let me tell you this, you can't give what you don't have. You cannot give the world your best if you don't start by loving yourself first. Are you ready to unlock the power of self-love? Are you ready to embrace your worth? To step into the most powerful, confident version of yourself? If the answer is yes, then let's get started, because today we're going to ignite a transformation that will change your life forever. Self-love is the foundation of all success because it determines how we show up in the world, how we approach challenges, and how we engage with opportunities. It is the root from which everything else grows. Without self-love, no matter how much external success we achieve, it will never feel truly fulfilling. We can accumulate wealth, status, and recognition, but if we don't have a healthy relationship with ourselves, it will always feel empty. The energy we invest in ourselves, how we treat ourselves, and the value we place on ourselves will ultimately influence the results we create in every area of life. When we love ourselves, we build a solid sense of self-worth that doesn't rely on external validation. This self-worth is a powerful foundation that shapes the way we approach our goals, relationships, and even setbacks. Instead of doubting our abilities, we trust ourselves to overcome obstacles and to create solutions. This internal belief system acts as a compass, guiding us towards the right decisions and actions that align with our true potential. When we love ourselves, we develop the confidence to take risks, knowing that no matter the outcome, we are worthy and capable of handling whatever comes our way. Self-love creates a mindset of abundance rather than scarcity. People who truly love themselves recognize that there is more than enough to go around. They are not in competition with others or constantly seeking approval because they understand that their success is not limited. When you love yourself, you can celebrate the success of others without feeling threatened or jealous. This mindset opens the door to collaboration, growth, and limitless opportunities. Self-love enables you to live from a place of abundance, seeing opportunities everywhere instead of focusing on lack. Additionally, self-love fosters resilience. Life will always throw challenges our way, and without a strong sense of self-love, these challenges can break us down or make us question our abilities. But when we love ourselves, we build inner strength that helps us persevere through adversity. Self-love provides the emotional resources to bounce back from failure because we understand that failure does not define us. Instead of viewing setbacks as defeats, we see them as learning experiences that allow us to grow stronger. With self-love, we become more capable of handling stress, managing difficult emotions, and maintaining focus on the bigger picture. It provides a powerful internal foundation that prevents us from crumbling when life gets tough. Moreover, self-love increases our capacity for personal growth. When we love ourselves, we become open to self-improvement. We are not afraid to face our flaws and weaknesses because we understand that growth is an essential part of the human experience. Self-love enables us to approach ourselves with compassion, recognizing that we are not perfect but always evolving. This self-acceptance makes it easier to engage in personal development practices such as learning new skills, cultivating new habits, and setting ambitious goals. Without self-love, personal growth becomes difficult because it's rooted in self-criticism and fear of failure. With self-love, personal growth feels empowering rather than intimidating. When we love ourselves, we prioritize our well-being, and this is vital for long-term success. Taking care of our physical, mental, and emotional health is not a luxury, but a necessity. Self-love means recognizing when we need rest, when to say no, and when to recharge. It means eating well, exercising, and taking care of our mental health by practicing mindfulness or seeking support when needed. Many people sacrifice their well-being in the pursuit of success, believing that success comes at the cost of personal care. But true success cannot be sustained without a foundation of well-being. When we treat ourselves with kindness and respect, we have the energy and clarity to perform at our highest level. We can sustain our success over time because we are nourishing ourselves on every level. Self-love also nurtures healthier relationships. When we love ourselves, we set boundaries that protect our energy and well-being. We stop tolerating toxic relationships or environments that drain us. Instead, we attract people who value and respect us because we value and respect ourselves. Our relationships become more authentic, meaningful, and supportive. When we treat ourselves with love and kindness, we set the standard for how others should treat us. This ripple effect extends to all areas of life, creating a positive cycle of self-respect and mutual support. In the absence of self-love, it becomes easy to fall into the trap of perfectionism, where we constantly strive to meet impossible standards in an attempt to feel worthy. This cycle of striving for perfection can be exhausting and demoralizing because perfection is an illusion. No matter how hard we work or how much we achieve, it is never enough when we don't truly love ourselves. Self-love, on the other hand, allows us to embrace our imperfections. It teaches us that it's okay to make mistakes, that we don't have to be perfect to be worthy of love, success, or happiness. Self-love is about showing up as our authentic selves, knowing that we are enough exactly as we are. In many ways, self-love is the antidote to fear. Fear is a natural part of the human experience, but when we love ourselves, we are less likely to let fear control us. We are able to take bold action, even in the face of uncertainty, because we trust that no matter what happens, we will be okay. Self-love gives us the courage to step outside of our comfort zones and pursue our dreams. It allows us to take calculated risks, knowing that failure is not a reflection of our worth, but an opportunity to learn and grow. When we love ourselves, fear becomes a temporary obstacle rather than a permanent roadblock. Furthermore, self-love is essential for cultivating a sense of purpose. People who love themselves are more in tune with their desires, passions, and values. They know what they want out of life because they are in touch with their authentic selves. Self-love creates clarity around our goals and our vision for the future. It empowers us to align our actions with our deepest desires and to pursue work that feels meaningful. When we love ourselves, we do not settle for mediocrity or live in alignment with others' expectations. Instead, we boldly pursue our own path, guided by our inner wisdom and purpose. Ultimately, self-love impacts the way we experience life itself. It changes the way we perceive the world and interact with it. With self-love, we approach life from a place of gratitude, appreciation, and joy. We no longer feel like victims of circumstance, but empowered creators of our own destiny. We move through life with a sense of ease and flow, knowing that we are worthy of all the blessings that come our way. Self-love doesn't just affect one area of life, it permeates everything we do, shaping our experiences, our relationships, and our success. It is the driving force that propels us to create the life we truly want. Without self-love, all the external success in the world will be hollow. It is self-love that makes success truly meaningful, sustainable, and fulfilling. When we learn to love ourselves deeply and unconditionally, we unlock a power within us that can transform every area of our lives. The foundation of all success, whether personal or professional, is rooted in the love and acceptance we give to ourselves. You can't pour from an empty cup. Take care of yourself first. This powerful statement speaks to the essence of self-care and the importance of prioritizing our own well-being before we try to help others. Too often in life, we focus on the needs and demands of those around us, our families, friends, colleagues, and society, while neglecting our own health, mental state, and happiness. The truth is, when we give without taking care of ourselves, we deplete our energy, our patience, and our emotional resilience. Eventually, we find ourselves feeling drained, overwhelmed, and burnt out. To be truly effective in supporting others and achieving our goals, we must first ensure that we are physically, mentally, and emotionally nourished. Think of yourself as a cup. In order to pour into the lives of others, whether it's offering advice, support, love, or service, you need to ensure that your cup is full. If it's empty, you will have nothing left to give. And when you continue to pour from an empty cup, you will soon find yourself with nothing to offer, and in many cases, you may even begin to feel resentful or overwhelmed by the demands placed on you. It's like trying to run a car on an empty gas tank. You can only go so far before you run out of fuel. The same is true for your emotional, mental, and physical energy. Taking care of yourself first isn't selfish, it's necessary. When we don't take the time to nurture ourselves, we may start to feel disconnected from our own needs, desires, and limits. This neglect leads to burnout, frustration, and a sense of dissatisfaction with life. On the contrary, when we take the time to nurture our own needs, we are better equipped to care for others. Self-care isn't just about pampering ourselves with occasional indulgences, it's about making sure we're well-equipped mind, body, and spirit to face the challenges of life and meet our responsibilities without sacrificing our own well-being. When you make self-care a priority, you begin to realize that your energy is finite. Your time is precious. You cannot be everything to everyone, and attempting to do so will eventually result in burnout. We are not meant to give endlessly without receiving anything in return. Our relationships, our work, and our personal lives demand a balance. This balance is not always easy to achieve, but it starts with the acknowledgement that you are worthy of taking care of yourself. Your own needs and boundaries must be respected if you are to have anything left to give to the world. Moreover, neglecting your own well-being can result in a lack of clarity in your decision-making. When you're mentally exhausted or emotionally drained, your ability to think clearly, set priorities, and make effective choices becomes compromised. You may start to make decisions based on external pressures rather than your own values or true desires. Taking care of yourself first creates the space for you to clear your mind and reflect on what truly matters. It helps you regain a sense of control over your life and the choices you make. Self-care can be as simple as taking a break when you feel overwhelmed or saying no when you know you can't take on any more commitments. It's about listening to your body and mind and responding to their needs with kindness. This might involve setting boundaries with others, practicing mindfulness, or engaging in activities that help you recharge. For some, it might mean taking a walk in nature, reading a book, or spending time with loved ones. For others, it might involve seeking professional help, whether through therapy, coaching, or simply talking with a trusted friend. The importance of self-care also extends to our physical health. Our bodies need regular rest, exercise, and nourishment to function at their best. If we push ourselves beyond our limits, we not only risk our health, but we also compromise our ability to perform in other areas of our lives. Taking care of your body is one of the most essential ways to fill your cup. You need to rest. When you're tired, eat food that fuels you and engage in physical activity that energizes you. These actions ensure that you have the stamina and vitality to tackle the challenges that come your way. Neglecting these basic needs is a sure way to find yourself running on empty, unable to keep up with the demands of life. Beyond the physical, emotional self-care is just as vital. Many people spend so much time focusing on external obligations that they forget to care for their emotional well-being. Constantly giving to others without replenishing yourself emotionally can lead to feelings of resentment, stress, and burnout. To avoid this, it's important to check in with yourself regularly. Ask yourself how you're feeling. Are you carrying emotional burdens that need to be released? Are there unresolved feelings or negative thought patterns that are draining your energy? Recognizing these emotional signals is essential to maintaining a healthy balance between caring for others and caring for yourself. Emotional self-care might involve journaling, talking through your feelings with a therapist, or finding ways to express yourself creatively. Mental self-care is equally critical. Our minds can only handle so much stress and stimulation before we start to feel overwhelmed. Constantly being on the go, managing multiple tasks, or worrying about the future can leave us mentally exhausted. Taking care of your mind means giving yourself moments of mental clarity. It could involve practices like meditation, breathing exercises, or simply taking time away from work or responsibilities to clear your head. Taking breaks, even for just a few minutes, helps reset your mind and prevents it from becoming overburdened. When you take care of yourself, you also model healthy behavior for others. Whether you realize it or not, your actions serve as a guide for those around you, family, friends, co-workers, and even acquaintances. When you prioritize your own well-being, it sends a powerful message that self-care is essential, and it encourages others to do the same. Self-care isn't just about you, it's about creating a culture of well-being that ripples out to others. By taking care of yourself first, you inspire those around you to make their own health and happiness a priority, creating a cycle of positivity that benefits everyone involved. There's also a powerful element of self-respect in taking care of yourself. When you ignore your own needs and constantly put others first, you're sending a message that you don't value yourself enough to make your well-being a priority. This lack of self-respect can lead to feelings of low self-worth, resentment, and even depression. Taking care of yourself is an act of self-respect. Acknowledging that you are deserving of love, care, and attention just as much as anyone else. It's about recognizing your own worth and treating yourself with the same level of care and compassion that you extend to others. In the long run, taking care of yourself first increases your capacity to help others. When you are well rested, mentally clear, emotionally balanced, and physically energized, you have more to offer. Your relationships become stronger, your work becomes more impactful, and you find yourself with a greater sense of fulfillment. When your cup is full, you are more present, more patient, and more effective in everything you do. It's not about being perfect or having it all figured out. It's about making small, consistent efforts to care for yourself so that you can be the best version of yourself for the people and causes you care about. By filling your own cup, you are investing in your long-term success, happiness, and well-being. It's not a selfish act, it's a necessary one. When you make yourself a priority, you ensure that you have the energy, the mental clarity, and the emotional strength to give your best to the world. Only then can you truly pour into the lives of others. Your worth is not defined by others' opinions. This truth is at the core of personal empowerment and emotional freedom. In a world where social media, peer pressure, and societal expectations often dictate how we see ourselves, it's easy to fall into the trap of measuring our value based on external feedback. But the reality is that true worth comes from within, and no one else's opinion should ever determine how we feel about who we are. The moment we start basing our self-worth on how others perceive us, we give up control of our lives and allow the judgments of others to shape our self-image. The power of reclaiming your self-worth lies in understanding that it is intrinsic. It comes from your essence, your values, and your own perspective. Every person has a unique journey, and the value of each individual is not contingent upon meeting the standards or expectations set by others. When we let others define our worth, we place ourselves in a vulnerable position, subject to constant fluctuation depending on external circumstances. One day someone may praise you for your achievements, and the next you may feel inadequate because of a negative comment or criticism. This constant up and down cycle creates emotional instability and prevents you from achieving true inner peace. When we anchor our worth in the opinions of others, we become like a ship tossed around by the waves, uncertain of our direction and purpose. Instead, we must learn to anchor our worth to something deeper, something constant and unchanging. The truth is, no one else knows you better than you know yourself. No one else has experienced your life, felt your emotions, or understood the complexities of your thoughts. The opinions of others are just that, opinions. They are based on their perspectives, their experiences, and their judgments. They may or may not have anything to do with the real essence of who you are. People see the surface, the actions you take, the words you speak, the way you look, but they don't see the inner workings of your heart and mind. Their judgments can be clouded by their own biases, insecurities, or misunderstandings. And yet, too often, we internalize their opinions as if they hold the final say on our value. When we constantly seek approval or validation from others, we are essentially outsourcing our self-worth. We are relying on others to fill a void that only we can fill. This creates a never-ending cycle of seeking external validation, chasing after compliments, and living in fear of judgment. The problem with this is that others' opinions are inherently unreliable. People's thoughts about you can change from day to day based on their mood, their experiences, or the circumstances of their own lives. If you rely on others for your sense of self-worth, you will always be at the mercy of those external fluctuations. One person's praise may lift you up, but one person's criticism can send you into a downward spiral. It's crucial to recognize that the opinions of others do not define you. No one has the right to determine your worth except you. Your value is inherent. It is not based on how much money you make, what job you have, or how many followers you have on social media. Your worth is based on your humanity, your unique qualities, your experiences, and the positive impact you have on the world. No one can take that from you, and no one can change it based on their perception of you. One of the reasons we often fall into the trap of defining our worth by others' opinions is that we crave connection. Human beings are social creatures, and we naturally seek approval, love, and acceptance. This desire for connection is a fundamental part of our being. However, seeking validation from others can lead us down a dangerous path where we compromise our own values and authenticity in order to please those around us. When we base our worth on the approval of others, we lose touch with our true selves. We start making decisions based on what others think is best for us, rather than what aligns with our own desires, values, and aspirations. To free ourselves from this cycle, we must learn to embrace the concept of self-acceptance. Self-acceptance is the ability to recognize and appreciate your own worth regardless of what others think. It is about understanding that you are valuable not because of what you do or how others see you, but because of who you are. It means letting go of the need for external validation and trusting that you are enough just as you are. This doesn't mean we ignore constructive feedback or stop striving for growth, but it does mean that we no longer hinge our sense of self-worth on the opinions of others. A powerful way to build self-worth is to focus on your strengths and accomplishments. Reflect on the times when you have overcome challenges, shown resilience, and achieved things that were meaningful to you. These are the moments that define your worth. It's not the fleeting approval of others that counts, it's the internal satisfaction of knowing that you are doing your best and staying true to yourself. When you focus on your own growth and progress, you begin to shift your mindset from seeking validation from others to celebrating your own achievements. This shift in perspective is liberating because it allows you to feel proud of who you are, independent of anyone else's opinion. It's also important to remember that not everyone will like or approve of you, and that's okay. The reality is that people have different tastes, preferences, and values. Some may not understand you or agree with your choices, but that doesn't diminish your worth. People's opinions are often influenced by their own experiences and biases, and they may not always see the full picture of who you are. Trying to please everyone will only lead to frustration and a loss of your authentic self. When you let go of the need to be liked by everyone, you free yourself to live more authentically and align with those who appreciate you for who you truly are. At the core of understanding that your worth is not defined by others' opinions is the realization that your value is constant. Whether you are at your highest moment or facing a challenge, your worth does not change. Success and failure, praise and criticism will come and go, but they do not determine who you are as a person. Your worth is not tied to your circumstances. It is rooted in the truth that you are a unique individual with inherent value. When you embrace this truth, you begin to navigate life from a place of inner strength and confidence, knowing that you are worthy of love, success, and happiness, regardless of what others may think or say. This mindset shift doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, patience, and practice to unlearn the habit of seeking validation from others. But every step you take toward recognizing your intrinsic worth is a step toward greater freedom, peace, and authenticity. You can start by being kind to yourself, challenging negative self-talk, and learning to appreciate your unique qualities. Surround yourself with people who uplift and support you, and let go of those who diminish your value. Trust yourself and know that you are worthy simply because you exist. Your worth is not defined by the opinions of others. It is defined by the love and respect you give yourself. Self-love is an ongoing practice, not a destination. This concept may seem counterintuitive, as many of us are conditioned to view self-love as something that can be achieved or earned, like a goal we can check off once we've accomplished it. However, self-love is not a final destination or a point we reach and then stop. It is a continuous process, a lifelong journey that requires regular care, attention, and intention. Just as our bodies need nourishment and rest, our emotional and mental health require ongoing maintenance through self-love. It's not a one-time effort, it's an evolving practice that adapts to the seasons of our lives in response to the challenges we face. Many people mistakenly believe that once they reach a certain point in their lives, whether it's a career milestone, a personal achievement, or an improvement in their physical appearance, they will have arrived at self-love. But the truth is, the moment we think self-love is something we've fully attained, we stop nurturing it. Just as our bodies need daily care through food, hydration, and exercise, so too do our hearts and minds require consistent attention to stay healthy and strong. This ongoing practice of self-love involves continually choosing to care for ourselves, to show compassion to ourselves, and to commit to our own well-being no matter where we are in life. Self-love is not just about feeling good or being positive about ourselves on the good days, it's about showing up for ourselves on the tough days as well. It's easy to love ourselves when things are going well, when we're feeling confident, successful, and at peace. But true self-love shows up when life is difficult, when we make mistakes, or when we feel less than our best. It's about acknowledging our struggles without judgment and responding to them with kindness. It's about taking the time to pause, reflect, and tend to our emotional needs, just as we would tend to the needs of a loved one. In these moments, self-love is about being patient with ourselves, understanding that we are human, and that growth and healing often come in waves. The ongoing nature of self-love also means that it evolves with us. As we grow older, as we navigate different life stages, and as we encounter new challenges, our needs and desires change. What felt like an act of self-love at one point in our lives might look very different at another stage. For example, in our younger years, self-love might have meant seeking approval from others or achieving external success. As we grow older, however, it may become more about setting boundaries, prioritizing our mental health, or learning how to say no without feeling guilty. The way we show love to ourselves must adapt to the circumstances of our lives. What we need to nurture ourselves today might not be the same as what we needed last year, and that's okay. This dynamic and flexible nature of self-love is important to understand. Just as our bodies don't remain the same from year to year, neither do our emotional and mental needs. We need to check in with ourselves regularly, asking questions like, what do I need right now to feel balanced? What will make me feel supported? And how can I take care of myself in this moment? These questions allow us to remain connected to our own needs and to continuously practice self-love in a way that is relevant to the present moment. Self-love is also about forgiveness both for ourselves and others. Often we hold on to old wounds, regrets, and mistakes, believing that they define us or that they make us unworthy of love. But self-love requires us to release these judgments and to forgive ourselves for the times we have fallen short. We are not perfect, and it's impossible to live a life without making mistakes. Rather than beating ourselves up or dwelling on our perceived failures, we must practice self-compassion by accepting that we are human. We can learn from our mistakes, grow from them, but ultimately we must forgive ourselves and move forward. This act of self-forgiveness is a cornerstone of self-love because it allows us to let go of the past and embrace who we are in the present. One of the challenges of practicing self-love is overcoming the negative self-talk that often dominates our inner dialogue. We can be our own harshest critics, constantly scrutinizing ourselves for not being good enough, smart enough, or accomplished enough. This negative self-talk creates an inner environment that is hostile and unkind, which makes it incredibly difficult to practice self-love. Part of the ongoing practice of self-love is learning to challenge these negative thoughts and replace them with affirming, compassionate messages. It's about recognizing when we are being too hard on ourselves and consciously choosing to treat ourselves with the same kindness that we would offer to a friend or loved one. Over time, these kinder, more supportive thoughts become more natural, and self-love becomes easier. The idea that self-love is an ongoing practice also involves taking responsibility for our own happiness and well-being. It's easy to blame others or external circumstances for our unhappiness, but true self-love requires us to take ownership of our emotional state. We must learn to find fulfillment within ourselves rather than depending on others or external factors to provide it. While relationships, achievements, and external experiences can bring joy, they are not the source of our worth or happiness. Self-love teaches us to cultivate joy from within, to create a sense of peace and fulfillment that is not dependent on external validation. Moreover, the practice of self-love involves setting and respecting boundaries. Saying no, standing up for yourself, and protecting your time and energy are essential aspects of self-love. Boundaries ensure that we do not overextend ourselves or sacrifice our well-being for the sake of others. They allow us to honor our own needs and prevent burnout. Setting boundaries is a courageous act of self-love because it involves asserting our right to care for ourselves, even when it may be uncomfortable or met with resistance. Boundaries are not about rejecting others, they are about accepting and valuing ourselves enough to protect our peace and emotional health. Self-love is also about self-expression and embracing our authentic selves. It involves allowing ourselves to be seen for who we truly are without pretending to be someone else or hiding parts of ourselves out of fear of judgment. This means embracing both our strengths and our flaws, our victories and our struggles. It means being honest with ourselves about our desires, our fears, and our dreams. When we practice self-love, we give ourselves permission to show up in the world as our true selves, unapologetically. As with any meaningful practice, consistency is key. Just as you wouldn't expect to be physically fit by going to the gym once and never again, self-love requires regular and intentional effort. It's about creating a routine that nourishes your heart and mind, whether that's through meditation, journaling, exercise, or spending time with loved ones. It's about carving out moments each day to connect with yourself and reaffirm your worth. The ongoing practice of self-love requires mindfulness, intention, and a willingness to grow and evolve. Ultimately, self-love is not about reaching some perfect state or achieving a final goal. It is an ongoing process, a journey of learning, growing, and becoming more connected to who we truly are. It's a practice that is flexible, evolving, and deeply personal, requiring us to show up for ourselves each day, regardless of the circumstances. By embracing self-love as an ongoing practice, we give ourselves the permission and space to grow into the best version of ourselves, free from the need for external validation and judgment. Embrace your flaws, they make you unique. This simple yet profound statement is a powerful reminder of the importance of accepting ourselves as we are without the need to conform to some idealized image of perfection. In a world where social media, advertising, and even popular culture often present an unrealistic standard of beauty, success, and happiness, it's easy to fall into the trap of believing that we must be flawless in order to be worthy. We are taught, implicitly or explicitly, that our worth is tied to our ability to meet certain expectations, whether it's having the perfect body, the most successful career, or the ideal relationships. This constant comparison creates a culture of insecurity where people hide their true selves, focusing instead on their perceived imperfections. But the reality is that it is our flaws, those things that make us different or seem imperfect, that actually make us special. Flaws are not signs of inadequacy. They are part of what makes us human. They are what set us apart from others and make our stories, our journeys, and our experiences unique. When we learn to embrace our flaws, we unlock the freedom to live authentically, to accept ourselves fully, and to let go of the need for external validation. Embracing our flaws is an act of self-love and self-acceptance, a declaration that we are worthy as we are, imperfections included. The first step in embracing our flaws is recognizing that perfection is an illusion. No one is perfect, and perfection itself is subjective. What one person may see as a flaw, another might view as a source of strength or beauty. Our flaws are not universally negative. They are simply parts of us that don't align with society's often narrow standards. For example, someone might feel self-conscious about their physical appearance. Maybe their body is not as slim as the models they see in magazines, or they have visible scars from past injuries, but those imperfections tell a story. They are reminders of survival, resilience, and the experiences that have shaped them into who they are today. The scars on our bodies can represent the challenges we've overcome, the lessons we've learned, and the strength we've gained. When we start to embrace our flaws, we begin to let go of the belief that we must hide them. We stop trying to cover up or mask parts of ourselves that we perceive as imperfections, and instead we allow them to be part of our authentic self-expression. This doesn't mean we have to stop working towards self-improvement or striving to be better. Embracing your flaws doesn't mean resigning yourself to a life of stagnation. It means accepting yourself where you are right now, knowing that growth and change are ongoing processes. The beauty of embracing your flaws is that it allows you to evolve without the pressure of perfection. You can work towards your goals with self-compassion, not self-criticism. Understanding your imperfections do not diminish your worth or your potential. Flaws can also be powerful teachers. They offer us the opportunity to grow, learn, and evolve. When we accept our flaws, we begin to understand that they are often the areas in which we can develop the most. If you have a tendency to be overly critical of yourself or others, for example, embracing this flaw might lead you to cultivate more self-compassion and empathy. If you struggle with patience or have difficulty dealing with rejection, your flaws can teach you resilience, emotional intelligence, and perseverance. By embracing the areas where we feel weak or vulnerable, we give ourselves permission to grow in those spaces and turn them into strengths. Another important aspect of embracing our flaws is understanding that they connect us to others. The things we often try to hide or view as imperfections are often the very things that make us relatable to others. When we show our flaws, we invite connection. People who may be struggling with similar issues feel less alone when they see that others are open about their own imperfections. The vulnerability that comes with embracing our flaws creates deeper, more meaningful relationships. When we allow ourselves to be real and authentic, others are more likely to do the same, creating a sense of mutual support and understanding. Our flaws also shape our personalities and influence our behavior. For instance, someone who is prone to being impulsive might take risks that lead to exciting and unexpected opportunities. Someone who is introverted might value deep, one-on-one connections more than large social gatherings. A person with a tendency toward anxiety might develop excellent problem-solving skills as they learn to anticipate challenges and prepare for the unexpected. What we often see as flaws can actually become defining features of our character that allow us to contribute uniquely to the world around us. These so-called imperfections shape how we approach life, how we relate to others, and how we find joy and fulfillment. They make us distinctive and authentic. Embracing our flaws also requires a shift in perspective. Instead of focusing on what we think is wrong with us, we can start to see our flaws as opportunities for growth and self-expression. This shift in mindset is liberating because it frees us from the constant need to be someone we're not. When we stop trying to be perfect, we open up space for creativity, self-discovery, and self-expression. Our flaws are not mistakes, they are part of our unique fingerprint. By embracing them, we start to accept that we are already enough, just as we are, and that our value is not contingent upon meeting any external standards of perfection. One of the most powerful things we can do when it comes to embracing our flaws is to practice self-compassion. It's easy to be harsh on ourselves when we feel like we're falling short of our own or others' expectations. But self-compassion involves treating ourselves with the same kindness, care, and understanding that we would offer to a close friend. Instead of criticizing ourselves for our imperfections, we can offer ourselves words of comfort, understanding, and support. Self-compassion encourages us to be gentle with ourselves, recognizing that flaws are part of the human experience, not something to be ashamed of. The more we practice self-compassion, the easier it becomes to embrace our flaws and to show up for ourselves with love and acceptance. There is also strength in vulnerability. By embracing our flaws, we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, and in that vulnerability lies true courage. It takes strength to admit our imperfections and to be open about our struggles. When we do this, we not only free ourselves from the burden of perfection, but also empower others to do the same. Vulnerability creates trust and connection, and it's through these authentic connections that we find our greatest sense of belonging. Embracing our flaws is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of strength and authenticity. When we embrace our flaws, we ultimately step into a place of self-acceptance. We let go of the need to be perfect, and instead, we honor ourselves as we are flaws and all. This acceptance allows us to live more fully, to engage in life with less fear and more confidence, and to love ourselves unconditionally. It's a practice that requires patience and time, but it's one that brings immeasurable rewards. By embracing our flaws, we become more connected to our true selves, more compassionate toward others, and more at peace with the world around us. Our flaws are not obstacles to overcome. They are the beautiful, unique aspects of ourselves that make us who we are. In conclusion, embracing your flaws is not about resigning yourself to imperfection. It's about recognizing the beauty and uniqueness that those flaws bring to your life. They are not the things that define you in a negative light, but rather the qualities that set you apart and make you truly human. When you learn to love and accept your flaws, you free yourself from the constant pursuit of perfection and open up space for growth, self-expression, and authentic connection with others. It's through embracing our flaws that we find our true strength, courage, and sense of belonging. By acknowledging and celebrating the imperfections that make us who we are, we allow ourselves to live more fully, more confidently, and with greater self-compassion. The journey of embracing your flaws is not one of perfection, but of self-acceptance, and it is this acceptance that leads to a deeper sense of peace and fulfillment in our lives. Your flaws are not your weaknesses, they are the unique pieces of your story, and they are what make you beautifully, undeniably you.